ironies. Well, first, when I was first asked to run for president of AACS, I said no. And then when I was asked again, I also said no. I was really busy, I had a lot to go on. And I didn't know what I could bring to the table in terms of what was needed with the association. But when I said yes, I would run, what is most desperately needed in so many ways for sociology? I mean, it's a really ironic thing, right? I mean, I think most of us would agree that we have this marvelous profession that can answer so many questions and has the power to find things out in the world that before were unrecognized, but yet we're under-recognized for the work that we do. Why is that? Why is it that, despite all the contributions we can make, we still lack recognition for our work? And so that led me to think about this idea of what's phase two, crafting a value proposition for applied sociology. And I'm not claiming I have it worked out, but I do think that there are some recommendations and some ways that collectively we can come together to figure out how to get our message out to others, to see the work that we do, to see the value that it has. My career has been a series of really fortunate accidents. I went to Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, just because my brother went there. You kids today, you apply like the 12 schools, you do site visits. I did none of that. I took one test, got in, thank you very much, I showed up on campus. Planning on being a clinical psychologist, actually, because I wanted to help people. I took the first Social 101 course, blew my mind, and that set the trajectory. Now I don't know how many people in the audience had the same thing. I don't think anybody goes to college planning on being a sociologist. Right? I certainly didn't. I didn't know what it was. It was a person who was helping me with my schedule said, oh, I'll take sociology, I heard that's cool. He was right, it is cool. But that started me at Central Michigan, not a really well-known sociology program. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, I had great professors, not really terribly well-known. I ended up at Wayne State University in Detroit. Why? Because I couldn't get into other places with any money. At the last second, one of my advisors called up somebody down at Wayne State, Janet Hankin, and said, yeah, I can get you in there. Great. So I go back home to Detroit to go to school. No plan. Just ended up there, right? Ended up being one of the most fortuitous things that happened because I don't know of a more applied program that you could find at a PhD level. Half my cohort, if you want to call it that, didn't even care about academics. They just wanted to get a degree to work with in some kind of professional field. Half of our program or so. I might be one of the outliers who has a professor position. And there, I should also mention that I encountered Dr. Mary Kay Senstock, right? Taught a course on clinical sociology, the first time I heard the term. And I come from that to this place, Bentley University. Why did I end up at Bentley? They offered me a job and nobody else did. I'm not proud, I'm going to tell you the truth. And so I applied all over the place, couldn't get in anywhere. And this place offers me a job. It's a private business school. What am I going to do with the private business schools? I used to avoid the business school building during winter because I refused to walk in it on principle. Right? I'm a sociologist from a Marxist program. What am I going to do at a business school? I have no use for these people. I'm sure they have no use for me. It ended up being the greatest accident I could have imagined because I would argue, and there are people in the audience, including Curtis Smith, who's a new lecturer, and I know he'll agree because he has to. I'm his department chair, so. There really is no better place to be an applied and clinical sociologist than at Bentley University, I would argue, because they value applied work no matter from where. The school talks about the integration of arts and sciences and business, what I call the art and science of business. And they look to us to talk about how we can make a difference through what we know how to do. And they value that across promotion and tenure, performance evaluation, raises, all of that. Kathy Stoley did a site visit for us, and I think that you came away with the impression of, oh my God, this is amazing. We don't even have a sociology major, but yet we can have influence as sociologists. I think one of the important threads in all of this, for me at least, is the fact that these are all small programs. And I know a lot of attention is given to big Research One programs. I get it, right? They're important. I'm not slighting those programs. But so many of you are from these small programs. Your organizational members are from these small programs. And those programs really get the idea that we need to be educating, training, mentoring, instructing students on how to use what we know how to do in meaningful ways. I want you guys to try this. I'm going to try a pull everywhere thing. Take out your phones, text GaryDavid04 to that number. Put in what words represent why you entered sociology. So for you young kids out there, you might be able to get a little bit of the older people. That's like one metric of age. Handling technology. Why did you go into sociology? What word represents to you why you went into sociology? So again, the number 37607, text GaryDavid04, then put in your responses. Hopefully this works, it might not. And for those who don't know how to use phones, shout out why. Why did you go to sociology? What word?
Change. Discovery.
And we're getting the idea here of who we are as sociologists. And I think this will probably reflect most of our experiences, right? Nowhere in here is the big paycheck, the income, right? There is riches in there, you know, good luck. I actually do know people who are sociologists who make quite a bit of money, actually. You never know. Not teaching in high school. Sorry, Curtis. But we get this idea here of why we're sociologists, why we got into sociology to begin with. And going on from that, this makes me wrestle with this idea of sociology's self-imposed irrelevance. You can keep texting, it'll keep going up to my pull everywhere and I'll pull the data. Self-imposed irrelevance, we did this to ourselves. Why do we have the most interesting classes that anybody could take, and yet we have irrelevance in people's minds in terms of when looking for answers? How did we translate ourselves out of relevancy in our work product? There's answers to this. I know these are rhetorical questions. But the self-imposed irrelevance refers to that for so much of sociological history, there's been this attempt to professionalize, not in the Michael Fleischer next year sense. This is the sense we want to talk about, the good professionalization. But professionalization as academics that somehow we're trying to achieve legitimacy in the eyes of some institutional order that demands that we become so obtuse that no one can understand what we're saying. And this leads me to start thinking about this episode from South Park. Obviously, right? I mean, that's where my mind first went, was the underwear gnomes from South Park. If you've not seen this episode, these are these gnomes who go into people's rooms, and this is their business model. Collect underpants, profit. And the whole episode is about what's phase 2. And they ask each other, I don't know, what's phase 2? No one knows what phase 2 is. It's just collect underpants, profit. What's that middle missing piece? And so I start to think about study sociology, create change. Right? We go into sociology, we want to create change, we want to help people, we want to have some sense of justice. What's phase 2? How do we get there? How do we make that jump? So what is phase 2? And what I would tell you phase 2 is applied to clinical sociology. It's through that mechanism that we can find that change. We can find that relevance. We can find that connection through our work with people's lives in ways that have impact and meaning. And that's what I want to talk about more today. Pulling again, that's mine, I was testing it out, I'm misspelling it. What word represents applied and clinical sociology to you? Change. Put an EN in there, it's been a long conference. Did I tell you about the screens? Let me tell you about the screens. And if you put the word screen in there, you get bonus points. What word represents applied and clinical sociology to you? Why are you in it? What does it mean to you? And I love the fact that, again, what we're reflecting is something that I think we all agree on. I think we could guess ahead of time that this would be what the data represented, right? Impact, community, action, improvement, passion. And so the question then becomes, how do we get to where we are? What is that phase 2? And one of the things I'm going to focus on here is the branding of it, okay? Is the element of it. What is applied sociology and clinical sociology? Let me use a medical framework. I would call this academic medicine. The patient presents as an approximately 70-year-old female with a fever of 104, abdominal distress, moderate discomfort in her joints, and generalized pain and a positive throat culture. She seems to be suffering from streptococcal pharyngitis and influenza virus B. Are you going to tell her? Nah, I am going to publish this paper on it. That would be academic medicine, right? People in medicine do research, and they don't talk to patients ever, but that research, is that research not important to medicine? No, it's important. It's definitely important. Applied medicine. I have a fever, aches, pains, and my throat is sore, and my stomach hurts. You have strep throat and the flu. See you later. You kind of want to, it's helpful. I mean, you got that. You can probably go out and find a solution now that you have a better understanding of what's going on. You're translating medicine into lay language so that the patient can understand it. But you kind of want a solution too, don't you? What do I do about it? Clinical medicine. Same presentation. You have strep throat and the flu. Take this prescription for your throat and rest with plenty of fluids. That's clinical. I am creating an intervention to help improve a situation. When people ask us what is applied in clinical, one of sociology, one of the frustrating things for me has always been, there's n number of answers for wide numbers of questions. We're bad at branding ourselves. Often because we speak in too much academic language that people can't understand. And the fortunate thing about being at a business school, I got to translate. No one has to take my courses. We have no requirement in sociology. I got to translate. And by the way, just as a point of reference, senior executives and chief executive officers have about the same attention span as freshmen at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you can get them to listen, you can get this, right? I see a head being nodding back there, am I right? If you can get them to listen, it's a great testing ground. You can get CEOs to listen as well. And so here's my take on who we are. Foundational sociology, using theories, concepts, and methods of sociology to study topics, with the primary audience being academic outlets. That's what most of us were trained in. R1 schools, this is what they train in. This is what we do. Applied sociology, using those same theories, concepts, and methods to study those same topics to increase understanding with the primary audience being non-academic clients, whatever those be, community organizations, individuals or counseling, industry organizations, policy groups, whatever, pick your poison. And clinical sociology. And speaking as a certified clinical sociologist, this wasn't made clear to me until Tina Ice said, when I was going for certification, she's like, well, why are you going up for a CSP and not a CCS? I said, well, I don't do medical. And she said, that's not what it means. She should have added dummy to the back of that, and she would have been right. And because she was right. So I didn't know. I was the president-elect of the association. I couldn't explain it well. And that moment crystallized it in my head. I went, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Same theories, methods, and concepts. Increase understanding in order to design solutions, to create interventions to effect change. That's it. That's it. We're taking what we know from our study, we're translating it for people, for a broader audience, And then for clinical, we're creating solutions to help them effect change in outcome. You can also add measurement on the back of that to evaluate the effect of that change, right? This, I think, and I don't know if more of our distinguished colleagues in the audience would quibble over this, is a really concise way of branding who we are and what we do. And I can tell you right now, when I talk to business people about this, I even shortcut it more and say I'm a design sociologist. Branding. I design solutions to help clients solve problems that they're facing using systems perspectives in a broad methodological framework. Bam. Done. Getting that pitch down as far as possible. That gets what I do, but it doesn't get why I do. And one of our hashtags for this conference, Why Applied. And it was motivated from this book I was listening to. I almost said book on tape, which is another metric of age. Right? You do these slip-ups like, you know, I taped the show. No, you didn't. You recorded it. Didn't tape it. Anybody familiar with this book? Start with Why? Pretty good book. Pretty good book. And Simon Sinek talks about the core, the kernel of any mission of an organization or business or anything is about why do you do what you do? What's the purpose? Why are we here? Right? From there you go to how do you do what you do? And then actually what do you do? So let me talk about this a little bit. This is our current website, our current tagline, mission statement. It's a fine mission statement. I'm not complaining about it. But in looking at it, I started to think about using sociological knowledge to promote beneficial social change. That's what we do. Okay? We promote to others the benefits of social change. I would argue this is why. Now I'm not saying we should change the slogan, but this is me riffing on this, turning the sociological imagination into transformative change. This is the why. And there could be other whys, and I'd love to talk about it. To help unlock the potential of sociology for people, communities, organizations, and societies. Right? This is our why. We're trying to turn what we know how to do, that's the phase 2. What we know into what we want. What we know as sociologists into what we want as applied and clinical sociologists. To turn that sociological imagination into that transformative change we're seeking to achieve. One of the things we're going to be doing as an association is a new product, a new venture. Sometimes I talk like a business person, like products, I apologize. Applied You. Programs to help you turn your sociological imagination to applied and clinical impact. One of the challenges of having a conference-based association is that people can't come to the conference for, oh, I don't know, there's a hurricane, theoretically. There's people all over the world looking for these kinds of answers. There's people who can't afford to come to conferences looking for these kinds of answers. People who don't know we even exist looking for these kinds of answers. We as an association need to do a better job, and as applied and clinical sociologists individually need to do a better job of getting that message out. And so we are going to be launching, I'll talk about in a second, a variety of different things that go beyond the conference. Go beyond the conference. The larger goal, and this goes back to our why, is to make an applied and clinical movement that provides a pathway for a more broader professional sociology. Again, our conference theme for next year, right? The professionalization of sociological practice. We see this need for professional sociology. And I don't mean to say the privilege working with one client versus another client, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's local community organizations, whether it's Fortune 50 companies. I'm not privileging any of them. It's all part of the same why. It's all part of the same why that we feel this deep connection, this deep emotional bond in ourselves and our identity to drive that change. We have webinars being planned right now. Okay, that we will record and put on our new YouTube channel. I'll be doing a version of this on November 13th. Karen Albright will be doing a version of her professional development seminar on January 30th. We have others being lined up. The goal is to provide every month for next year a webinar that we will record, that's going to be free, that we will record, put online, so if you can't attend the webinar, you can still get the content. This is not a complete list, right? By any means. If you have ideas, by all means, come forward and happy to do it. Again, how can we help as an organization unlock that potential in you to make it possible that you can achieve the change you're looking to make? And a lot of this comes down to how we deliver our message. There's a radio personality that I listen to quite frequently on the Sirius XM channel Urban View. His name's Joe Madison. Anybody listen to Joe Madison? Right? What's he always say? You gotta put it where, what?
I don't know who you're talking about, I forgot.
Anybody know what he says about this? You gotta put it where the goats can get it. By the way, Joe Madison has a degree in sociology from Washington University. Okay? You gotta put it where the goats can get it. Meaning, explain it in a way that people can understand. Explain it in a way that people can understand. And this is where the value proposition of applied clinical sociology starts to come in. Value is about perception, not calculation. That's Simon Sinek's quote. I work at a business school. People used to believe that value and price was driven by supply and demand. We now know with behavioral economics, which, sociology, that value is constructed and created through influencing people's perception. What something is worth is not necessarily what it's worth in and of itself, but how people see it as valuable or not. Which leads me to the open house problem. I'm at a business school. 98% of the students who come to Bentley major in some form of business. During the open house for prospective students, there's a sociology table. It is very lonely there. I think, the number one question I answer for people is, where's the bathroom? Don't laugh at my pain. It's not. You're laughing as if it's funny. It's sad. And so, and I'm next to the philosophy table, which is slightly sadder than we are. And so we commiserate and we talk and we, look at our emails. Anytime I'm at this open house, the question is always asked, well, what does sociology have to do with business? I used to say everything and just kind of walk away, which wasn't very customer-centric, I admit. I had to work on that messaging a little bit. Then I came across this quote, again, Simon Sinek. 100% of customers are people, 100% of employees are people. If you don't understand people, you don't understand business. So I made a sheet of paper that said, study sociology, understand people. And this year it happened, people came up to me and said, what does sociology have to do with business? I said, read this first. I gave them a little homework. Read this first. They read it and then went, oh. Right. If business is people, and whether it's business to business, B2B, or B2C, business to customer, it's all about people to people. And this is a moment in business where people are back in. Technology, I wouldn't say is out, but people are back in. The emphasis on customer experience, employee experience, brand experience, digital experience, patient experience. All of that is applied sociology and clinical sociology. All of it. And I've interviewed people, I've interviewed 30 people in this space, in the CX space. And none of them have said, sociology, I don't need that. They all have said, oh my God, yeah, that's amazing. We need more of that. We need more of that. Okay? And what they need from it are not just our methods, they need that too. They need our systems-based perspective, the ways in which we can see what is in an environment and make sense out of it. Or one might say, translating complexity into action, which is the theme of this year's conference. I don't know how many of you guys are ethnographers out there, but you walk into a situation that's chaotic, and you're like, yeah, this is amazing. Here we go. Woo! For a lot of quantitative researchers, especially in analytics fields, like data analytics, they walk into a situation like that and they just freak out. There's like, it's like what I call the outdoor cat, indoor cat syndrome. If you have an indoor cat, I suggest you try this at home. Take your indoor cat and throw it outside and see what happens. What happens, Norma? It doesn't say, oh, thank you for the freedom, this is wonderful, I had no idea this existed out here. They go, oh my God, and go and latch onto the screen. That's what I call data analytics people, right? They're like indoor cats. Ethnographers are like outdoor cats. You throw us outside, we're like, oh, look at that thing over there, look at that thing over there, look at that butterfly, oh, look, a squirrel. We're comfortable in complexity, right? And even for those of us who are any sociologists, Karen Albright, in a workshop or presentation we both gave earlier, she talked about jumping levels. Whether it's the micro, whether it's the meso, whether it's the macro, we can move levels. I can sit there and talk about things at a systems-based perspective. I'm also a conversation analyst. I can analyze micro-interactions. Which one do you want? Which one do you need? Okay? We have this amazing skill set that many other people do not have, including, I would say, anthropologists. I was at the Society for Applied Anthropology meetings in Philadelphia, and someone asked me this during my workshop on experience design here. They said, well, what's the difference between sociology and anthropology in this space? Not much, except that we have a broader methodological skill set. We can move levels of analysis more easily, and that we have more to draw on in terms of a history and legacy than anthropology does. But you know what's really ironic about this, though? Anthropology and design anthropology is kind of eating our lunch right now. Because you can go out and find advertisements from tech firms seeking anthropologists to hire, and you don't see anybody seeking to hire sociologists. And it goes down to, what do you do? And if we can say we can do anything, that's not helpful. It's like when I tell undergraduate students, you can do anything. And they go, oh my God, outdoor cats, indoor cats. Like, don't tell me I can do anything. I want to know what can I do. And so we got to get better at that. This comes from a book I was listening to recently. Because guess what? Guess what they don't teach you in graduate school? This. They don't teach you this. So I've had to prep myself on all this stuff over the summer. Listening to books on tape and whatnot. Clarifying your message so customers will listen. What do you offer? How will it make one's life better? What do I need? What do I need to do to get it? And I added 4 in terms the client will understand. Okay? And it's what we call, what it's called in the book, the grunt test. So clear, a caveman can understand it. And this goes back to I've been lucky, really lucky, that I'm in a business school where I got to break it down, where the goats can get it. If I was teaching at a Research 1 school, and again, I'm not, I don't mean to be dismissive of Research 1 schools. But if I was at a Research 1 school teaching sociology majors, I wouldn't have to craft a message that non-majors have to understand. I got really lucky. It's a tremendous training ground for me to message. Every time I go into a classroom, I'm messaging. I'm figuring out, is the message working? In design, I think we call it iteration, iterative cycles, using user-centric or customer-centric, voice of the customer. Turning what you know into what you can do. Very often when we're talking, people will talk about, tell me about your project. They talk about what they know, but not the skills that they've used to do it. And part of the space, too, is emphasizing the skills we know how to do. Our critical thinking skills, our communication skills, our analytics. This is a list we all know, right? The next question to ask on it is, so what? Say what skills you have, but not specifically what you can do with them or in ways that matter to others. Saying I'm big in critical thinking is nice, it doesn't help. Translate that into action. Translate communication skills into action. Cross-cultural skills into action. I've studied people in conversation, so what? So that means I can go into your customer-facing operations to examine the encounters that occur on a daily basis, identify escalation strategies and de-escalation strategies, and train your people on how to improve their customer experience scores. Okay, I got that now. The way I got to that is not from PhD school, it's from being at a business school and hanging around business people. Being an ethnographer, I go out to these events where these business people hang out and I listen to them and I figure out what they say and how they say it. And it's amazing how quickly, and others I'm sure have this experience too, they want what we have, once we say it in terms they can use. This is my consultancy I started, translating complexity into integrated experience design, right? Bringing the design ecosystem into alignment across all the channels that exist in the enterprise. Stuff like that, which I would never have said as a PhD student, but that resonates when I'm talking to people in industry. And so we think about the sociological golden circle. I think about it this way. Why is our passion for sociology and creating change? Our how is the translation of theories, methods, and concepts for clients. Applied. The clinical is the implementation of action for change. Here we have our levels. Foundational, applied, clinical. The why, the how, the what. This to me, as I thought about it, is the value branding of applied and clinical sociology. And so next steps. For those of you who are looking for careers outside of academia, or those of us in academia who are looking to do applied work with whatever clients you're looking to do work with. Number one, voice of the client. Networking and joining professional or community organizations of those you want to reach. Go to where they are. And we know how to do this as sociologists. As ethnographers, we definitely know how to do this. Because we always have to go out into the field and try to engage with people we're trying to get access into. This is huge. Social media branding. I didn't know how important LinkedIn was until a consultant said to me, "Hey, I saw your LinkedIn profile." I said, "Yeah?" And she had shook her head no. I said, "No," and she's like, "You've got a lot of work to do." She said, "Who's it written for?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "There's your problem. Write it for the people who you're trying to reach. Develop a social media presence that reflects the groups you are trying to reach, and build your own brand of expertise." I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I have a blog that I try to populate like every other week or so with takes on sociological takes on things happening in the news that relate to the brand of expertise I'm trying to promote. Blogging, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, whatever channels you have to get your brand out there on what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to reach. Content creation. Create content for the audiences you're trying to reach, blogs, videos, posts. Not in terms that are academic. Give it to someone who's not an academic, ask them to read it and see what they say. And I can't tell you, I mean, it's kind of depressing. Unfortunately, I'm in the position of, I love adjuncts. I feel bad for adjuncts. One of the guys at my school, his expertise is in sociology of emotions. Empathy is so hot right now in business. It's all about empathy. All about empathy. They're all approaching from a cognitive psychological point of view. Problem that we can solve. And so I asked him to write a blog post for my blog about the sociology of emotions and how it can be applied. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, just write me a page and a half, man. Just in words that anybody can understand. But it's almost, I think it's part of our imposter syndrome. We don't believe we can do it. Another rule of what we need to do is get beyond our advisors' voices in our heads. Get beyond those voices in our heads and say you don't know. I mean, it's really depressing, right? So you go through 6 years of a PhD program, you come out only to be told you really don't know anything about what you're talking about. That's a heck of a professional job. Breaking that cycle and believing that you know what you're talking about. Broaden out your reading and listening list to fill the gaps where you're lacking. Like I was talking about with Simon Sinek or Gary Vaynerchuk, which I was listening to, and other kinds of books. They kind of figure out those skills I'm missing to brand myself. And join this organization. Join and become involved in the AACS. Join and become involved in ASA and join the sociological practice section and public sociology section. I still don't like adding the public sociology part, I'm sorry. Old habits die hard.
I didn't mean it.
I know. I still just say social practice. So join that section and get involved there. Get involved here. Don't just join, get involved. We are the only organization by and for applied and clinical sociologists. Every other organization that exists are all connected to academic organizations. Not a bad thing, but it's something unique about everybody here. This is by us, for us. We control what we do in here. whereas in other associations, not so much, necessarily. Not so much. Join committees in the association. Contribute. Develop that why. Learn that how. Design that what. So that we together, individually through our individual channels of communication, our individual points of contact, and as an association, can really deliver the message we know that's the most important thing, not just for ourselves but for our students. That what we have learned, what we know how to do, has value to have positive impact. And as we develop our skills to communicate that more, the ability for us to engage with people on impactful projects and real impactful levels will be broadened out. And so as I took this position, as I'm ending this position, as the board is developing a strategic plan for the next 5 years around these kinds of ideas, I invite you to be active parts in that journey. Because without you involved, you can have a passion, you can have a why of one, but it's a lot more fun to have a why of many. And so by creating this social movement of applied and clinical sociology, not just for ourselves, but for those who need our help, we're going to be in a much better position to make the world fit the image of it we've always had. Thank you.